broadcast.
All right. So, if you joined us last week...
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, sorry.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, and during the questions, we had gotten a question on our Facebook from this one person, a DNA question about what these certain relationships might be. Mm-hmm. And it was a little confusing. Now, I will admit, Devin gave this to me like 5 minutes before the live stream started.
Half an hour.
It was 5 minutes. And so I didn't have a whole lot of time to look at it or to think about it. And so I was completely befuddled while I was trying to figure this out live, and I couldn't figure it out. Well, a few days later, I decided I'm going to go back to this and look at it. And I looked at it some more, and I figured it out. And
I think someone from our live stream might have actually come close to the answer, if not had the answer for you.
You're right. I think so. So we're going to go through
Tammy or something.
And I will show you some different thinking of stuff. So first off, this was the information that they had given. So there's 3 people, John, Mary, and Sally, and their ages, 49, 50, and 65, and so, or 60, 65, whatever. In any case, the ages are close enough that they're not children, grandchildren, anything like that. Okay. All right? So that helps eliminate some relationships. Now, Mary and Sally, they shared, there's my pointer. They shared 2,468 centimorgans plus, that was Devin scratching your nose off camera.
It's going to start.
Plus another 500 centimorgans of fully matched DNA. And so this is really indicative of full siblings.
So Sally and Mary
look like full siblings.
Okay.
Now the problem comes in because John shares enough DNA that he looks like he is a half sibling to Mary, but only enough to be a first cousin to Sally. But if Mary and Sally are full siblings, John has to have the same relationship with both of them. So that was what the major conundrum was. I was trying to figure out how this could do it. Now, the one thing that I'd missed, or didn't miss but didn't dwell on when we went back and looked at it, is this person also gave us the amount of of X-DNA that was shared. And
why is that important?
This is important for a couple of reasons. So, because it is Mary and Sally, and because we think they are full siblings, what we should see on the X-DNA is that they half match on the entire chromosome, or they at least half match on the entire chromosome. And that is 196 centimorgans long. They only half match on 152 of those centimorgans. So there was actually a part of their X-DNA that they didn't have any match on, whether it's half match or full match. Now they full matched on about 25 centimorgans of the X-DNA, but that's, perfectly fine. You can expect that, and that basically means that they got the exact same part there from their mother, but the other one might have got a different recombined X chromosome. Oh. But since they had the same father, they should share one X chromosome completely in common.
Okay.
But this 152 is telling us they don't share an entire X chromosome in common, which means...
Sorry, I've been rolling my eyes. It's just going over my head. If it's going over your head, it's okay. He's going to draw some pictures?
I'm going to draw some pictures.
Oh, good.
Which means that these two are not full siblings.
But they have enough DNA to be full siblings. I got that part.
They do have enough DNA to be full siblings, so we got to figure out how. And so now, if you know already that, hey, these can't be full siblings because they don't share an X chromosome, well, they have to be half siblings because there's no way they could share this much DNA without being half siblings. So let's go over to our drawing board.
All right, double check, make sure it's actually there.
Yeah, let's make sure I'm on the drawing board.
No, they don't see the board.
There, now I'm on the drawing board.
Hi, is that Maria? From
Stockholm.
Welcome back, glad to have you.
All right, so let's get my brush, my color, and so what we have here, we'll start over here. I don't want that.
The brush, there you go.
There, that's a pencil. Brush. give me a nice big bold. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and you were able to go right over the circle. Good job.
There we go. So we have Sally and Mary that originally, based just on the amount of total shared DNA, we thought they were full siblings.
Okay.
But we know that they can't be because of the X chromosome.
Okay.
Okay.
Where do you get the X from?
You get the X from, well, if you are a man, you get an X chromosome from your mother, and that's it.
Okay.
If you're a woman, you get an X chromosome from your father, and you get an X chromosome from your mother. Now, the difference is the X chromosome from your mother is a combination of the two X chromosomes that she has.
Okay.
Whereas the X chromosome from your father is the exact same X chromosome that your father has because he only has one to give you.
Okay.
So, we know it's not this, which means it has to be that these two don't share the same father. And if you don't share the same father but you're half siblings, you have to share the same mother. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? Are you got that?
No.
No.
How do you know that they're share the same mother again?
Because if they shared the same father, then what we would see is we would see 196 right here.
Okay.
And then we would still probably be believing that they were full siblings.
Okay.
But since they share the same mother, they can share less than a full chromosome because that is recombined.
Okay.
All right?
And just like Deco Card said, he thanked you for explaining the X chromosome. If you guys have questions just like I do as he's going on, put it in the chat because we will stop and make sure there's some clarification. Don't leave it up to me to ask all the questions. So keep going.
All right. So the next point then is we have John over here. Now John looks like a half sibling to Mary and a cousin to Sally.
Okay.
So how does that happen?
You're going to tell me.
I'm going to tell you.
I don't know. This is when he does the DNA and does the logic puzzles.
All right. Well, if we go over here and we draw another couple. Whoops, this is going to be a square because that's a John.
John. We
so
believe
this is
that John is a male.
This is Mary. And this is Sally.
Okay.
Okay? So, John is a half-sibling to Mary, right? Because they share a father.
Okay.
Now, John also is a cousin to Sally, except that you don't get to go through it like that, right?
I'm guessing.
You're guessing. So, we're almost solved here, but we have one problem. This is too much DNA for just a half sibling, and you wouldn't see fully shared DNA on a half sibling. And we don't know where this is.
Yeah.
So, if we actually take these two gentlemen, and if they are full siblings, we've solved everything, and here's why.
Okay.
So let's change our colors here. And let's start first looking at John to Mary.
Okay.
So John shares a father with Mary. So John is a half-sibling to Mary. And that one's checked off.
Okay, hold on a second. Dewey has a question. What is the X chromosome number limit?
Oh, 196 centimorgans. That's the length of the X chromosome.
Okay.
So
great question. Keep it coming.
So John is a half-sibling to Mary.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Now, if we ignore this Mary and her mom right here, and we just look at these two brothers,
okay.
John, if we go up to the grandparents and down to Sally, is a cousin to Sally.
Okay.
And that's taken care of.
Okay.
All right? Then we go over to Mary and Sally.
Change your color.
We're going to go to Mary and Sally. So first off, we know that Mary and Sally are half-siblings, and that accounts for about 1,700 or so centimorgans.
Okay.
So we still have this other 800 centimorgans plus all of this fully matched centimorgans. Well, looking at this, you can see that Mary, through that, is also a cousin to Sally. And a cousin would be 800 centimorgans, give or take.
Give or take. And so
that would be 2,500 plus, since you'll notice this is all going through the exact same set of grandparents, these two men have some DNA shared in common.
Right.
And because of that, their kids, which are half siblings, end up having some shared, fully matched DNA.
There you go.
So what it is Sally and Mary are actually related in two different ways because their mom married two brothers.
So they did. And had yours, mine, and ours.
And that, that is how something that looks like it can't exist can exist. And it's really the key here is with that
shared part.
The xDNA to get you on that to begin with.
Okay. Awesome. If you have any questions about that, go ahead and drop it in because we are going to be going to the news here in a second. But, I don't know about you, that hurt. Cosmic Slight said, whoa, that's interesting. Thanks. I thought so too. And that's why he does all the logic problems because, I'm not saying we couldn't figure it all out after people teach us and you go through it enough, right? But sometimes it just hurts my brain. I'd rather work with papers.
Okay, so Dewey's got a question in relation to this. So if I find a number that is 195 or less, what relationship would that be to me? Okay, it depends. You're
195 less on the
X chromosome.
Okay, I'm going to make sure I knew exactly what we're talking about.
All right, so let me come over here and let me.
You can just do a new, right? Okay, you can do that too.
I'm going to go back to my whiteboard for y'all. There we go. So, all right. So your X chromosome. Oh, I'm on boxes again. So the X chromosome, that's equal to roughly 195 centimorgans. That's how long it is. Okay. Now, we're going to have a girl and a boy because they each get something a little bit different. And that's why it makes it a little bit confusing. Okay? So we'll start with our red X. So our father here has a red X.
Yes.
And he doesn't give an X to his sons because he gives his sons a Y.
That's right.
Right? So he I clicked on something I didn't want to. He gives his daughter an X chromosome, though. And he only has one X to give. So that X is a full X.
Okay. No recombination.
No recombination, no shuffling around.
Okay.
Now, the mom over here, we got to do different colors. She's got two X's.
We're special.
You're special.
You're not special.
Yeah, I'm not special. So there's actually three possibilities that mom can give to her daughter or her son. She can give him, either one of them, a full chromosome of either one of those two that is unrecombined, or she can give a recombined chromosome X, which is a shuffled X chromosome. Okay. That is a combination of those two.
Okay.
So you can't tell a relationship just by the X chromosome.
But when you piece it together with some of the other clues, like you said, then you can figure out some of the relationships.
Right. Then you can figure out some of the relationships.
Okay.
Now, and you can tell it by just looking at this. So, for instance, you can see that because, hey, we have a red X over here, and we don't have a red X over here. Well, if we're matching on this red X, it's got to be through this father. So if you're matching one, in general, not always.
Okay.
But if you're matching one sibling on the X chromosome, but not the other sibling on the X chromosome, it's likely that is through their father and not through the mother, if that is a daughter that you're matching.
Okay.
And this is where women are special, because you get two, and so you can figure out some different things by the women. For men, if you're matching on the X chromosome, since you only got one and you got it from your mother, it has to be on your mother's side.
Okay. Okay.
Just like that. So there's some ways that you can eliminate some different possibilities, but it's not going to tell you the relationship right off.
Okay. Alrighty. So you have to piece together as many clues as possible, just like in genealogy paper research.
Yeah.
The more clues you have, the faster you can get to the likely conclusion.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Talking about 23andMe and about the traits. So this is really nothing that has to do with genealogy so much, other than, passing down stuff to your kids.
So this is more fun than the ethnicity.
This is fun. This is way more fun than the ethnicity.
Okay, real quick before you go, Cosmic Slice told us that the author wrote sunshine sketches of a little town based in Orwell.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and Stacy, I hope that someone from your local library will come and say hi. I'm teaching 2 classes today.
Tell them to get a selfie with Devin.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so on 23andMe, if you go over into the health section and you go down to traits, and you guys are going to learn lots of stuff about me and Devin today, and some stuff that maybe we didn't know.
Do we want them to? Mm-hmm. And if you haven't tested with 23andMe, you'll be able to find out these things.
Yeah. Now, as you're watching me do this, just recognize that the microphone is like sitting almost right in front of this monitor, so I'm going like this to look over it. That's because I can't see. I need a see-through microphone.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I don't have that. All right, so some of this stuff might be a little bit embarrassing. Some of it may not. But in your genetics, it codes for everything. Everything you see here.
Everything inside, everything outside.
Everything inside, everything outside.
Okay.
And certain mutations that you may have, or certain genes that got passed down that are a little bit different than what most people have, might give you some different traits.
Okay.
That's why we all look a little bit different, except for identical twins.
Okay.
So let's go through some of these that are fun.
Asparagus odor detection?
We're not even worried about that.
But that's hilarious! That's very specific.
Well, okay, we'll go into asparagus odor detection. After eating asparagus, some people notice an unfamiliar odor in their urine.
Oh! I didn't even want to know about that!
That's why I was trying to avoid it, but you wanted to go there, so...
That's not what... Oh, that's crazy!
Yeah. So I happen to have the genetic trait that I'm likely to smell that.
Okay! I'm picturing you standing by the toilet. Yeah, I can smell it! Why would anybody come up with that?
You know what? There's all sorts of great things to research.
This is the new chess pawn. The asparagus sniff.
The asparagus sniff, that's right. So it's on chromosome 1.
Okay.
So let's see.
Oh, I don't want to know if I have it.
You don't want to know if you have it?
No.
Well, too bad. We're going to see if you can smell your own asparagus.
No, a different smell. Oh, that's because I ate it. See, I don't eat asparagus very often.
So we're going to go to Devin and see if Devin can.
Do you have to refresh? What's up? Okay, it looks like it refreshed.
You are likely able to smell.
Okay. Okay, I bet you found something
All
better.
right, so do you want to trust me on the ones to look at, or do you just want to open your mouth whenever...
But do you guys think it's funny when I pick one that's just totally off the wall? I mean, I bet you didn't know that people can smell asparagus in their urine.
Okay.
And whose fault is it? Not my fault. It's 23andMe's fault.
It's 23andMe's fault. Exactly. It's because of them that we know for sure. Hey, it's genetic. It's genetic. All right, so we'll go back to me. Okay. And this is one you don't have, so you don't have to worry about me looking at you.
Okay.
This is back hair.
Oh, yeah.
It says that it's likely to have little upper back hair.
Yes.
Now, true. I'm not going to take off my shirt and show everybody,
it's
but
true.
Devin can vouch for the fact that, yes,
His brother got those genes. Sorry.
I did not.
His wife said, and we've seen. Thanks, deck of cards. I try to make you laugh. That's my goal.
All right, so here's why I wanted to start actually with this one, because this one was not on the asparagus one. But, from this they say that, hey, that's unlikely to have little or no upper back hair.
Okay.
And basically 82% of participants that have DNA,
hey,
like mine, have little or no upper back hair. How do they know that? Because they asked us.
Okay.
And
you're assuming people are being truthful.
And you're assuming people are being truthful. And here, I just tell them, yeah, I have none also. It matches exactly. But what it is not everything is purely 100% genetic.
Your back hair is not genetic?
That's what's interesting. It's not 100% genetic. There are other factors involved.
Okay, because you and your brother have noticeably, like, you can hit a broad side of a barn with the amount of noticeable difference. Hairy, not hairy.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I didn't say which
my brother's going to be really happy to know.
I didn't say which one.
But I have none.
He has none.
So anyway, so you have some things that have a genetic component, but there's also other factors. And this is a good example of this, and you can see that from this graph right here. This light blue is what shows that you are not likely to have back hair, and this darker blue is that you are likely. And you can see that the lighter of the light blue, the lighter of the
teal?
The lighter of the teal and the lighter of the blue are where other factors come in. So having no back hair, like in my case, well, genetics is actually the majority part of that.
That makes sense.
All right? Which is also probably why you see that, hey, people that have the same genetics, some of them still have back hair, even though they have the same genetics as I do.
It's that percent
now,
variance.
Here's the other thing. In this case, it's not one chromosome, not one SNP, not one gene. There's lots of things that go into both having back hair and not having back hair. Who would have known?
Now I want to know about the asparagus.
The asparagus was on one.
That's right.
Asparagus is really simple. It was one single gene on one chromosome. But back hair, you can see there is like almost a dozen places, some of which have a much greater propensity to influence it than others.
And then you have the additional factors.
And you have additional factors. If you want to go in and see some more scientific details,
not really, no.
You can find like all sorts of charts about your back hair. How they mold it.
Should
you can read more about it.
They have to back hair.
If you want to tell us that you have back hair, that's okay. You're not revealing anything about your genetics because, again, as it is, there's a dozen places that back hair is important in your genetics.
Okay.
All right. So next one about
bald spot.
Okay.
Or is that the one you were going to go to?
Yes, we were going to go to that.
It says not all balding is created equal. That's true.
Yep.
The unlikely. That's malarkey. You've got.
See, I can show this one.
He's got it's not completely bald, but what do you call that?
I don't know. A thinning spot?
It's not bald. A thinning spot.
I don't have a bald spot.
Okay, so they're partially
But
white.
Take a look at this.
Oh.
Look at this, okay? So not having a bald spot is purple.
Okay.
Having a bald spot is teal. Okay. And these are almost equal overall, except that genetics only plays a small part of the less likely, where it plays about half of what it is if you're likely to have a bald spot.
So is that hat?
It might be. I have no idea.
You have to rub your head when you sleep?
Maybe.
That's what happens to our babies. They get a little bald patch.
I think that's just from rubbing the hair out of their head.
Okay.
So, again, you look at the genetics as far as where it is, and there's some that are like this big, huge honking thing of chromosomes, and others that aren't.
They had a picture of where your bald spot is. Look at that.
Look at that, yeah. So depending on, what kind of balding you have, if you just have it in the back, then it's, got a variant on one chromosome, and if you have it like all over, then it's something else. I mean, I think the one thing they talk about is that many people believe that you get balding from your
grandpa or
from your mother's side.
Oh.
And I think they tell you right off the bat, hey, yeah, that's pretty much a myth. Balding is much more complex
and
than...
then they give you a history lesson, too. Something about cats.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about 23andMe. Completely separate from genealogy.
It's a nerd's paradise.
A total nerd's paradise. I mean, if you want to get into the scientific papers about balding, they have the links there that you can read, all about balding.
There you go.
And other things.
Okay,
so
I won't pick another one.
You're not going to pick another one. Okay, so here's one that I wanted to highlight. Cheek dimples.
No.
So some people have an extra smiling muscle in their cheeks that may create a dimple. And I, based on my genetics, am unlikely to have dimples, but you can see it's actually not that much of the people. 58% to 42%, and guess what?
No dimples. Oh,
what do you call those?
Those aren't the dimples the way I think of dimples.
What do you think? Dimples?
Like, dimples are supposed to be here, and they're supposed to be there, like, almost all the time. Yours are just... so many people have that.
No!
Those aren't dimples. What do you guys think?
You smile. So you got the same thing.
Yeah, I know. That's not a dimple.
Yes, it is!
No! Okay, you guys resolve that. What is a dimple?
Here, I'm going to show. It's dimple, right? Where I can't see my fingers.
Stacy overruled me.
They're dimples. See, my parents have said all through my life that I was the only one of their kids that had dimples. That's how I know.
Those aren't the dimples the way I'm thinking.
They're dimples!
Whatever. Oh, but you know what? They're overruling me.
They
so
are.
Fine.
Now, here's something cool when you look at this. Because, again, genetics for having... What is
More
this?
likely.
Having dimples is completely genetic, it looks like. Mm-hmm. It's completely genetic. But not having dimples... Well, there's a little genetic component, and then there's a lot of other factors.
That doesn't make any sense. They
all agree. They all say they're dimples.
Fine. If you say so. I don't understand that. How can one be genetically related and the lack of it be the not genetically related? How does that make any hill of beans of sense?
Well, because there's different things that influence it. So you may have stuff that... Again, since it's not one gene that determines it, you may have a gene, think of it as like a big rope that's pulling.
Okay.
And so these genes over here are pulling you towards the no dimple side, but these other genes over here are pulling you towards the dimple side.
Okay.
And if there's more genes that pull you to the dimple side, and the other factors don't pull back far enough, then you get dimples.
Okay, but okay. It just seems like it said with the less likely that the factors not contributing to DNA.
Yeah, there's other factors.
Okay.
I don't know what those other factors are.
They need to explain. 23andMe, you failed me.
If you get into the scientific details, I bet you can find out what these other factors
23andMe, simplify it for a non-nerd. That's you, dear. But it is kind of fun. Okay, what's next?
All right, so let's go over to you. Let's actually, for the dimples, let's find about you with dimples.
Okay, if you say so.
I say so.
Yeah, I can tell that you say so.
Okay, we're going to find out if Devin has dimples or likely has dimples or likely doesn't have dimples.
I don't know. It
says you're unlikely to have dimples.
Do I have dimples?
And you're more unlikely than me, 68% to 38%.
But I don't have them, do I?
I would say...
What is that? I don't know what that is. That might just be a dirt mark.
That might be. I don't know.
My brother has a dimple, like kind of yours. But his is bigger than yours. It's more pronounced
He
than
might
yours.
have more pronounced ones.
Yes.
And so you're judging me based on your brother's dimples.
Yes.
But
he doesn't mean you have dimples the way I think of dimples. But everybody overruled me, so...
Everybody overruled you.
Hey, Stacey, have fun getting your child.
Okay, so let's go to the next trait here.
Okay.
We did the bald spot, we did the dimples.
We're going to do the earlobe.
No, here's one that I want.
Oh.
Cilantro. Taste of it.
I hate cilantro.
And you, or me, I have slightly higher odds of disliking cilantro. Uh-huh. I don't hate cilantro.
Yeah, you'll eat it all.
I'll eat it all the time.
Like, ooh, no. Forget
But
that mess.
yeah, well, let's look at mine here to compare. So this is one of the ones that just looks like it's on a couple of snips that you can find. And both of mine are the type that say it's slightly higher of not liking cilantro. Mm-hmm. Let's go over to Devin.
While you're doing that, Mandalpar has been watching us in the kid pickup line.
Oh, sweet.
You're awesome. Thanks. Slightly higher. It's only slight. I can't stand it. But then again, that's not saying much. Remember, my favorite vegetable growing up was... Corn. It's not a vegetable. Yeah.
She wasn't great on the herbs. Nope. Come on here. Okay, so we know that you don't like cilantro.
Ew.
Okay, earlobes. Detached or attached earlobes. You have...
Can they see?
I don't know if they can see, but you have definitely attached earlobes.
I know, I don't have that little funny little loopy. His is attached.
No, mine's like got the little loopy.
Let me see. No, you have like a smidge of a loop.
It is. First it's no dimples, and now you're saying that my earlobes are attached. It's clearly not attached. There is like the little thing. I can flap these around. See? I can flap them.
What's the difference? They look exactly like mine. They go straight in. They don't have the little detachy thing right there. Either that or your ear shape is funny.
I don't think my ear shape is funny. I think...
Stop touching it. Put your head there.
See, this is what I wanted to do is, get our noses and our ears right up to the camera.
Oh, I'm not putting my nose. My nose is big. I got a Geisler nose.
Put a big old mark on my glasses I got to wipe off now.
I know.
Okay, so we're going to say that I have detached earlobes. And some people, I'm not going to say that some people don't have more detached earlobes, but you have attached earlobes.
I know.
And I have detached earlobes.
All right. Are you guys... Very little flapping, Andy. Very little. Thank you.
But there was the little.
On my side.
There was the little. All right.
Yay! See? I mixed this one.
Yes, those are detached.
You haven't abandoned me completely.
No, Deco Card says those are detached. I have one person that's voting for me. Okay, and you got 2 people that are voting for you. Oh, 3. Oh, I got 2 people.
Ah!
Oh, wait, no. Oh, wait. I think
wins.
you're going to win.
She wins. Yes, see? Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay. It says I'm likely to have detached earlobes.
No.
So this is like really confirmation bias. No. Since it says genetically, these have to be detached.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you. Thank you. Douglas said Devin won, Andy won. There we go.
Okay, somebody's keeping score here.
All right. I want to know while you guys are waiting, what was your favorite vegetables growing up, if there's any other corn people.
But look here at how complex your earlobes are.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean... That's just awesome! Look at that!
So that's why you think you have a flap, but you don't.
Because it's so awesome?
Well, because there's so many factors. There you go.
But look at that. I mean, it's just everything.
Okay.
All across your genome, all these little things determine whether your earlobes are detached or help to determine whether your earlobes are detached or not. So let's see you.
Are we going to do our snozzes? I hope not. I don't need to know about my snoz. It's already big enough.
I think we got a couple more here after this.
Okay.
Now you are likely to have detached earlobes also, but not as likely as me.
No,
See, look at this. It is the picture is showing just a little tiny bump there.
Attached. Corn was thanks. Cosmic Slice, I'm okay with green veggies. I can't do the Brussels sprouts, but I can do okay. Again, the more I can stick it in another meal, the better.
Okay, so we're going to go to eye color now.
Okay, now we got to stick I don't know if we're going to be able to them to see our eyeballs.
You just got to get up there close. All right, so this is Devin first. So you want to put your eye right up to the...
Okay, you tell me if I get it. Can you guys see my eye color?
They might not be able to.
I know, it's all dark.
It's brown.
No, I'm hazel.
Okay, hazel. Sorry.
Okay, family
brown
history,
or hazel are the same thing.
Family history story growing up. Okay. People would go to me, what color are your eyes? Because they weren't solidly brown, they weren't solidly green, they were called it. I was told I had mutt-colored eyes.
Mutt-colored eyes?
Yeah. It was really sad. So, you know what I did? So, when I was competing in pageants, I had a pageant sponsor, and he wasn't going to give me any money. So, and he was an eye doctor. So, he gave me blue-colored contacts. So, So for 3 years, I got to have blue eyes, and my nickname was Blue Heaven. It was awesome. And then he wouldn't give me those contacts anymore, so I had to go back to mutt-colored eyes. But he didn't seem to mind. Did anybody else try out colored contacts, or am I the only strange one? Probably the only strange one, but...
So, eye color is like super complex, as you can see. And there's like this huge spectrum of eye colors that people can have. And interestingly enough, from your genetics, if you look at the breakdown of people that have similar... So, yes, hazel is the top color. Mm-hmm. Actually, dark brown eyes is the top color, but hazel is next. Not by much. Light hazel and hazel, if you add them together, and light brown eyes, dark brown is clearly the majority. But there's this small minority of people that have green eyes, greenish blue eyes, and blue eyes.
Hey, Route 66.
So, here is...
But it's only one spot?
Well, there's one spot that differentiates between like the brown eyes and the green-blue eyes.
But then also the ringy.
There's lots of other things that have to do with stuff.
Go.
I mean, because when you actually, most people, they think of eye color as just this one solid thing, but when you actually look at somebody's eyes or get a close-up picture of your own eye, you see that there is a lot of things going on. There's rings around them sometimes. There's starbursts.
Yeah,
you can have different
that.
flecks of other colors in there. You can actually have, striations of different colors throughout it. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how complex your eyes are as far as the color.
I needed to know I was some kind of sparkly. I have sparkles in my eyes or something. I don't know. You'll have to look. You know what he did one day? He took our digital camera and he got right up in our faces and did it with each one of our kids because he wanted to see if all of our kids have different colors. And they do.
They do. They do.
I have different colored eyes.
So let's see what color eyes I have.
Hold tight, Route 66. We'll ask you questions in a bit.
Okay.
Answer the questions.
So there's my eye.
I don't know if they can tell because, again, you gotta watch some of his other videos. They're very light colored eyes.
They're like green, like a light green.
They're very light. But when we first met, I could have sworn you had darker colored green eyes. I was like, ooh, I married someone with green eyes. Sexy.
That's why she wanted me. The green eyes.
I know.
It gets the girls every time.
But now it's like blue, like your mom has the really pale blue. You have a pale blue and then like a darker greenish brownish in the center. And so that's why it all depends on like where you're standing and when your colors are.
See, there's green, gray, blue, green.
Okay.
So by genetics, I should have blue or green eyes. And I do. They're green or, like you said, there's some blue on them. Mm-hmm. And that's the switch. Is Devin, if you looked at this one, was AG, and I'm a GG.
Oh, there you go. A GG. A genetic genealogist. I know I'm corny. It's all good. It's all good.
And I think, let me see if there was one other one here that was really interesting to look at. So green eyes.
Fear of heights.
Fear of heights.
Really?
Yeah, interesting. There's genetic. I mean, but okay. So where does the fear of heights come from?
What is that stuff called? Vertigo? Like whatever it's calling vertigo? Mm-hmm. Causing vertigo?
It says some scientists believe they more heavily depend on input of their vision for balance control.
Yeah.
To keep their balance.
That makes sense.
Okay. And
also probably hearing, too, because when the more hearing you lack, the more off balance you can be as well.
Yeah. You like corn and you're corny.
Good job. You're very witty.
Okay, here's another good one. Your finger length ratio. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at your index finger compared to your ring finger, and
ours are about equal. Aww.
Yeah, ours are about equal to each other. But look at this. Your index finger is longer than your ring finger. My ring finger is longer than my index finger. Okay. So I am likely to have a longer ring finger than an index finger, and that's actually a typical male characteristic as well. Oh. Males usually have a longer ring finger than they do an index finger.
Not by much.
No, it's not by much.
Like, I can barely tell. Are you guys holding up your hands? And they're like,
everybody's like looking at it.
What do we have?
What is it? Yeah. But what this is, one of the things I read about this is, so when you're a baby, your ratio between your fingers remains the exact same throughout your life. So even though your hands are bigger, the ratio between your finger length is the exact same.
Oh, cool.
So what they've studied and looked at is that has something to do with how much testosterone you were exposed to in the womb. And so that's why males usually have a longer ring finger than their index finger, because they were exposed to more testosterone. Mm-hmm. So you got it, baby.
There you go. You got more.
It's all there.
Finger length difference varied between both hands.
Oh, that's a good question.
I think they're about the same.
See, no, look at mine. Mine, there's a distinct difference.
I can't see that.
Okay, we'd have to get a ruler out. Maybe it's not. Maybe now that I'm stretching them out. Uh-huh. Mine, I guess, look probably, about the same? Okay. Trying to get all the fingers together, all lined up.
This has been fun.
I don't know. Sure. Maybe it's a little bit different.
Uh-huh. Hormones in the womb. Very cool.
So there's different things that genetics plays a role in, mm-hmm. but it's not exclusive to it.
Right.
Freckling, light or dark hair, your hair thickness, mm-hmm. Mosquito bite frequency. If you get bitten by mosquitoes a lot, it might be because you got some bad genes from your mom and dad.
Always blaming mom and dad. What about grandpa?
You can blame mom and dad for everything because they.
Toe length. Okay, we're not going to show our
toe length.
Oh, widow's peak. You wanted to do.
Oh yeah, widow's peak. That's the one.
Because I do have that. Yunk.
Widow's peak. So you do have the widow's peak, and one of our kids, I think only
Caleb.
one of them, just one of them has a widow's peak.
Caleb.
I am unlikely to have a widow's peak, and you can see.
No peak.
There's no peak.
No peak. But I always have to... See, here's what I want to know about widows. Okay, you guys get to know a little more about me. I think when you have a widow's peak, you just get... Pull that center, that line of part, gray right down your widow's peak. Because I wear my hair parted, and it's not based on the part. Does that make sense?
Okay, say again about...
Okay. So, I'm not going to show you, but if I would part my hair the way a widow's peak was supposed to part, I have heavy gray hair right here, and early gray hair.
Okay.
But some people are going to say, oh, that's based on how you part my hair, but I've always parted my hair this way since I started going gray at 16, that it's not the part, because this is not as gray as the part. So I'm wondering if gray hair down that center, your natural part versus your forced part. Anyway, okay. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but genetically, look at this. You're unlikely to have the widow's peak.
No.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean... It just says unlikely.
I got one.
She's definitely got one.
We agree.
We agree she's definitely got one.
Yep. Stop with the hair back up. Okay. All right, start throwing questions you have on anything you came into the live stream for. It's going to be Q&A time here in just a little bit because I think we're done with that part there.
We just wanted to show you... did you want to see the unibrow?
Nah, we'll skip the unibrow. I know. See, I've been plucking since I was a teen, but I had some big carpet strips on my eyes when I was younger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Route 66 definitely has a question, but there was also some comments about eye color. But you guys, what are you researching? Where are you stuck? What are some of the questions you have about DNA or genealogy? Or go ahead and start throwing those down there. We're going to go, Andy's going to check through the chat.
There was one, Dewey Jones, right? So this is going back to the, I'm going to put the chat up, to the X chromosome question. Mm-hmm. And Dewey asked, how can you tell if you have inherited the X from either your maternal or paternal side? Oh,
that's a very good question.
If you're a guy like me, you inherited your X from your maternal side.
Okay.
Period.
End of story.
End of story. So for women, you got to figure it out by checking with other people. Basically, you have to see what shared DNA you share with other people.
But
that
one
are
X,
on your mother's side or your father's side. Now,
one X is definitely for daddy.
Was definitely
all
for daddy.
dad, and the other one is a combination of moms.
Yeah.
relatives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, basically, like if you had a brother, you have a brother.
I do have a brother.
So if we compared your
And
X chromosome,
did his DNA test.
if we compared your X chromosome to, in fact, you know what? While we're doing this, I'll pull this up and show you. If we compare your X chromosome to your brother's X chromosome, then what we see is we see the parts that you both got from your mother because he only got an X chromosome from his mother.
That's true.
All right, so let's go over there and compare that, and I'll pull this up here. You just got to fill the time.
I have to fill the time. All right,
I've got to...
I was going to try to find out what other questions are going on.
Sorry.
Someone said later, we'll probably come back to it, that the blue eye and the other colored eyes being partially genetic. We have a friend here in where we live. They have 5 kids, and their daughter has the one blue eye and one brown eye, I think it is. And it's just the cutest thing ever. I don't know. She's just so cute because of her different colored eyes.
All right, so let me get this back up and come over. So this is a comparison of Devin to her brother. Now the light purple that you see there are the half match. That means you just match on one of your chromosomes, one of your pair. And then the darker purple is a full match where you got the same from both your mom and your dad.
Okay.
We just want to worry about the X. And you can see it's only some half match parts because, again, he only got one X chromosome, so you can't be a full match.
Right.
But those parts of it are definitely what you share in common from your mom.
So if we add a third person in and they match in those segments where my brother and I match, then that would be a Geisler line. No, that'd be a Brown line because I got that from Mom.
So let's actually do that here. Okay. If we go back, because we have some other relatives of yours that we know. And I'll put them on here.
Just a second.
And again, we're just going to be looking at the X chromosome. That's all we care about that we're talking about here.
All right, switch it over.
There we go. Okay, so you can see that, hey, there's a couple of segments that you guys share in common, but you don't all share the same things in common.
Okay.
So...
because these are my aunts.
These are your aunts on your mother's side.
On my mother's side. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So one aunt, I have a larger segment, but I share that with my brother.
You share a part of that segment in common with your brother.
And then... with the other aunt, the yellow aunt.
The yellow aunt and the orange aunt?
I don't know, Aunt 1, Aunt 2. They're both equally awesome, just in case you're watching.
Yeah. So, figuring out where you got which part of your X chromosome, you have to do that by comparing with other people and knowing what side of the family they were on. That's really...
So if you're an adoptee, it's a little bit more difficult because you don't have that known relationship. But this was easy because I know that my brother was my full brother.
Correct.
No, just kidding.
All right, let's see here. What other questions?
Keep going. Past the winning. I love seeing that, I won. But anyway.
You won. Okay, do you know useful charts on YouTube? Yes, I've seen that. Have you seen useful charts?
No.
I thought they did the one about the English monarchy.
Oh.
I thought that was on useful charts.
I don't know. I'm going to make a note here. Because when we go to Roots Tech, we're talking about favorite history channels on YouTube. So if you guys have a favorite history channel on YouTube, drop a link to that below. And if you don't know the link, just tell me the name. So like one of my kids' favorite history channels is Extra Credits History. But there was also, I just discovered one with the Royal Navy. Anyway, it had a video about the story of the poppies from World War I and the story of the Flounders Fields and the poppies. And that was really cool. So I'll have to find that link.
Okay.
It's not coming to the top of my brain right now. But what was it called?
Useful charts.
Okay. Awesome. We're all about the sharing.
Okay, let's see here. Yes, I guess that means you're getting your brother a DNA test for his birthday.
Very awesome.
hopefully no big surprises, but be prepared for big surprises because they can happen.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that was JR talking about the heterochromia.
Heterochromia, iridium.
You know your science terms.
Well, no, it's just all Latin. Hetero is different. Chromia is color. Iridium is like your iris.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So, different colored eyes. Mm-hmm. It's a fancy way of saying different colored eyes.
And Stacy says she has glasses so she doesn't bother plucking her eyebrows. Yeah, it's getting hard when I'm nearsighted and farsighted. Yeah, it's hard to pluck your brows.
All right, so let's go. Group 66 got some questions here. What do you know about mitochondrial haplogroup C3? Absolutely nothing off the top of my head. I would have to Google it. That's about all I know about haplogroup C3 off the top of my head. And what are your thoughts on the history of skin pigmentation? Well, skin pigmentation, just like eye pigmentation, is really complex. And, I mean, a lot of it is actually related to eye pigmentation. So a lot of the same genes that affect your eye color also affect your skin color, which is why you see dark eyes among certain groups much more prevalent than, like in the Europeans are the ones that have all the different colors of eyes mainly. Mm-hmm. But even amongst those, there's certain colors like green that are a lot more rare and only found in certain groups primarily. Or there's another one that's like, I want to say it's like light purple, but I'm trying to think if it was a light purple or something else. It's like a gray, blue, purplish mix type of thing. But anyway, as everybody can see that as far as skin pigmentation, you can hold up your arms here.
We look very white together.
Well, but that's because of the white lights.
I know, right?
If you actually look at us,
I'm very yellow and you're really pink.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit darker than Devin is.
Always.
But that's
in
not
the
saying
summertime,
much.
it stinks. He gets out. He's out for like half an hour. Boom, brown. Me, I'm still white by the end of summer.
Well, but I mean, the interesting thing as far as the history of skin pigmentation is I've read something that from an archaeology standpoint or from a gene standpoint, it looks like as far as the different skin pigmentations, the white, the lighter skin pigmentations didn't appear until about 7,000 to 10,000 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So this is long after you've had the dispersal from Africa. And what is so interesting to me is you have to have had at least 2 different groups that had this happening. Because at this point, 7,000 to 10,000 years ago, you've populated Europe, you've populated Asia, you've just starting to populate the Americas. Australia's been populated for like a long time, actually.
With the Aborigines?
Yeah, it was I think 40,000 years ago.
What about the Polynesians?
Polynesians is starting about the same time. Now, the extent of it changes because there's some Polynesian islands that are much more recently populated.
Oh, okay.
Like New Zealand.
Uh-huh.
New Zealand's only been populated for, I think, 1,000 years.
Really?
Yeah. It's not that long, if I remember right.
Wow. If you're from New Zealand or Australia.
Easter Island, another one. It hasn't been populated for that long.
Okay.
So if you look at as far as dark skin, you can see through India, through the Aborigines in Australia, through a lot of the peoples in Papua New Guinea, that archipelago that goes through there. So basically, that whole swath of land, it all has very dark-skinned people, and there's some variation, between pigment coloring. But what you do have is the Europeans on the one side, and you have the North Asians on the other side, because a lot of your South Asians are going to be the more darker skinned, and so you have your North Asians on the other side. That historically doesn't appear to be a lot of evidence that they intermixed a lot. There was some, but not necessarily a whole lot. But what I think from looking at skin color and eye color in particular is that you find is that on the European side, whatever genes, whatever mutations that they started having spread throughout the population also not only affected their skin coloring, but also their eye coloring. Because there's a huge variety of eye colors, as well as actually a a range as far as the lightness of the skin. The farther north you go, the lighter it gets.
And then would self-selection have also played into that? Because, so in China, the whiter your skin, the more aristocratic, the more beautiful you were. So if you had a darker skin, you get self-selected out, maybe?
Maybe once you have these civilizations starting and stuff.
Oh.
But when we're talking 10,000 years ago, you're still talking everybody's a hunter-gatherer.
Okay.
So you haven't developed agriculture or anything yet. So you're still, migrating and marrying within these small groups.
Okay.
By that time. And but the thing with the North Asians is, while there is some variety in eye color, there's nowhere near as much variety as you see in Europeans.
That's true.
And so...
And they all have black hair.
Their mutations are actually different as far as their skin coloring and affecting the melanin.
Yeah.
The eumelanin and whatever the melanins are that affect your skin color.
Okay.
So that, like I said, that's just some of the archaeological things that really is, I think, just in the last 5-6 years that some of these have come out that I find really interesting, because genetically, from what we know, it's like, hey, it tells us that there's these two bands of mutations that are going on at that time or before that time, right around that time, and they affected the populations differently, which is exactly what we'd see. If we saw that, let's say, both the North Asians and the Europeans both had eye and hair color big varieties, well, then we would expect that there was one that happened and there was a lot of intermixing going on, or a lot of migration going on. But since you actually see two distinct, it's like, hey, there was some different sets of mutations that were happening at different times.
Hallen placed that hunter-gatherers would be exposed to more stones, so it would be darker?
Well, it depends on where you live in the world. So in Africa, where humans were born, yeah, because it was really right at the equator. But as they migrated out of Africa, it's less and less that you see where they are. And you get into climates that are much more overcast, and also farther from the equator, you have longer winters. And shorter summers, and so the angle of the sun, that kind of incidence, is going to affect it. There's some different things with vitamin D production that also play a role into it. The development of clothing, to protect you in those environments is obviously going to affect it in some way, because if you don't have some way to keep yourself warm, you're not going to go to those northern latitudes at all.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so switch to the very interesting. You have great questions, Route 66. I'm glad you were able to join us this time. You've been missing for a little while. That's what we love here on Family History Fanatics. We love developing a community with you guys, so be sure to keep coming back. In 2 weeks, we're going to...
Just a second, I don't have it set up yet.
But I'm going to go ahead and tease.